Art is the basis of civilization.
It's the backbone of our culture and of every culture. It's what goes on after we go on.
During World War II, Adolf Hitler threatened the identities of European cultures. If it was not for the people who saved the art of these cultures, much of the famous works studied in art history would be lost today. The people who saved the stolen art explored and encountered many dangers, scenes, and choices, and through the exchange of ideas and information, much of it was saved. January 30th, 1933, an Austrian veteran of the Great War is sworn in as Chancellor of Germany. His name is Adolf Hitler. Hitler was one of the 20th century's most destructive and powerful leaders. At a young age, he found joy in art, and at age 18, he took his adherence money to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. He was rejected 2 years in a row, and after the second time, he stayed in Vienna, where he gained many of his ideologies from the anti-Semitism common within the city. As Chancellor of Germany, Hitler becomes the face of the country and names himself the Führer. He makes and enforces strict rules limiting the power of Jewish and other minority groups in Germany, then sends them to concentration camps or death camps, and during the movement known as the Nazi Plunder, his regime takes everything they have owned, including art. Using his powerful and strict political party, the Nazis, he takes over most of Europe. Within Hitler's Nazi-occupied land, the Nazis take any art they can get their hands on. They ransack museums, historical sites, religious sites, and universities, and take careful notes of every piece of art. Art that was Cubism, abstract, modern, or created by Jews or Slavs was considered to be degenerate art, and was either sold or burned publicly due to Hitler's hatred for them. Hitler had plans to build a super museum, called the Führer Museum, in his hometown of Linz, Austria, with every piece handpicked by him. Each of Hitler's other high-ranking Nazi officials and leaders had a private collection of art as well. Hermann Göring, Hitler's successor and co-founder of the Gestapo, was an avid art collector, and according to the German Historical Museum, his collection included at least 4,263 pieces. September 1st, 1939, Hitler takes Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declare war on Germany. In his book Monuments Men, Robert Edsel wrote, Hitler fired a shot across the bow of the art world in 1939 when the Blitzkrieg of Poland included units tasked with deliberate theft of art and destruction of the country's cultural monuments. One of Poland's most important historical monuments and symbol to its freedom is the Zamek Królewski, or the Royal Castle in Warsaw. In October of 1939, Nazi troops bombed the castle and planted dynamite in the walls. The west wing was destroyed, but some of the art was stripped off the walls and put into storage to be saved. The dynamite was put into place to destroy it later, and in 1944, when the dynamite was detonated, the Zamek was completely destroyed. The destruction of the Zamek is just one example of the thousands of monuments and works destroyed by the Nazis and lost in the war. Hitler commissioned the Eisenstadt Reichsleiter Rosenberg, or the ERR, on July 17, 1940, by the push of the Nazi ideologist Reichsleiter Alfred Rosenberg. The ERR was a branch of the German government's foreign political office tasked with the plundering of Jewish and Slavic art, books, and other belongings. The ERR took detailed notes of where every item came from. The Soviets were part of the Allies side, and they helped take back art from the Germans. Unfortunately, the art they took back went to some of the Russian museums. Some of the art was returned after the fall of East Berlin and the fall of Soviet Russia, and was 40 years after the war. One work returned was the famous ancient Greek Pergamon altar. Museums such as the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg has claimed in the past that some of the works displayed are from private German collections, and those works are believed to be plundered art. A little before the ERR was commissioned on June 22, 1940, France signed an armistice and fell to German occupation. In 1940, after the fall of Paris and back in the United States, at Harvard University, researchers called the Harvard Group gathered information on the historically valuable monuments and sites. In January of 1943, another group began to meet at the Frick Art Reference Library in Manhattan. They were called the American Council of Learned Societies, or the ACLS, and they compiled lists of important works in Europe. In June of that same year, United States President Franklin Roosevelt created the American Commission for the Protection and Salvage of Artistic and Historic Monuments in War Areas, which was nicknamed the Roberts Commission after Supreme Court Justice Owen J. Roberts, who was appointed head of the commission. Using both the Harvard Group and the ACLS's research, the Roberts Commission was, as the Monuments Foundation put best as, charged with promoting the preservation of cultural properties in war areas, provided this mission did not interfere with military operations. From the Roberts Commission sprang the Monuments, Fine Arts, and Archives Program, or the MFAA. The people in this program are sometimes referred to as the Monuments Men. From 14 countries all around the world, around 345 men and women joined the MFAA program. They were anything from artists to art historians to museum curators and directors to military officers. To encourage the protection of the arts and monuments, the Supreme Allied Commander General Dwight Eisenhower sent out an order on May 26, 1944, ordering it is the responsibility of every commander to protect and respect these symbols whenever possible.